is.
Resolution 2015-243, authorizing the surplus of non-operational computer and miscellaneous equipment.
Okay, let me get that. So this resolution, we're just going through basically material that's not being used, equipment that's not being used any longer, has no value. We want to surplus it to get it out of here. The monitors, the 11 monitors, we probably can get some trade-in value, so we're going to look into that, but they're not worth anything right now.
And a Christmas tree.
You like that?
The best one.
There are no kitchen sinks on this.
No, that's next time. We're trying to do it just quarterly, so we don't have you coming like nickel and diming all the time.
Questions from council? What's the council's pleasure? A resolution or ordinance 2015-1896 for residency requirements for class 4.
On this one, I believe Councilmember Olivera was going to speak to this.
Yeah, let me bring it back up.
Okay.
I'm glitching out there. I don't really like freezing out. So, the governance committee met and we talked about, what was in front of us was the definition of residency requirements in our ordinance, and we looked at it and determined that the word resident of the city kind of stood alone. And it, so what we looked at was, after listening to our attorney Carol Morris talk about how some cities have a difficult time filling positions on boards and commissions, especially smaller cities, we thought that we'd bring forward to the council an ordinance where we opened up 2 of the 6 positions to be non-residents of the city, but residential property owner. 1 position would be a youth, age 16 to 18, who resided in the city, and 3 positions who shall be residents of the city. So 2 of the commissioners may reside outside of the city. Doesn't mean they have to. It can still be 5 members that are residents of the city, but this opens it up for the mayor to take a look at the people that are applying for these positions. It broadens the membership pool, and so that's why we wanted to bring this forward for council to consider.
Questions from council? Councilman McCabe?
Just one statement. The reason we placed the residential status, or non-residential status, to non-resident status to at least be someone who has a principal interest in the city on residential property, because residential properties house families, and as families we want to use the parks. We didn't want business interests or anything else. That, to us, it didn't seem to apply, and that's why we limited the scope to residential owners.
And the residential owners, like, take property tax, and so they do have a vested interest in the city.
And the park.
And the park.
Other questions from council?
So there was one thing I saw in here that I think could create an issue for us is defining citizens. It was brought to my attention by a member of our community, sent me an email and said there was no public comment tonight. I think we need to put a different word in there rather than citizen, like member of the community or something like that, because otherwise you're going to need to define citizen.
Oh, that's true.
Resident of the city, something like that, but
I thought we had specified residents.
it says shall be citizens who reside in the city.
Yeah, 3 commissioners shall be citizens who reside in the city.
So I think you need to remove the word citizen.
And replace with
Just residents of the city?
Yeah, shall be residents who reside in the city.
Yeah,
It's residents
Or,
of the city.
you know, a resident of the city or something, but if you put citizens in there, you're gonna leave yourself open to
Well, I
needing to
think
define citizens.
That's the old language that was left in place,
yeah.
so that's just something we need to
Citizens,
do some house cleaning on.
we don't want to make it cows, instead of something.
Well, and we'd have to look, we might have that defined in the definition section of 2.38 too.
I still think you don't want citizens, I think.
Yeah, I think resident is
A better word.
we use resident in other areas.
We
I
don't
would
make
use
people
resident.
prove that they're
Yeah.
a citizen,
person.
like a citizen of the United States.
Oh, that's true. You might have to provide citizenship.
Right.
So what's another word then? Three
Residents
commissioners
shall
shall
be
be residents who reside in the city.
Just
Well,
residents.
resident of the city.
Residents of the
You need to
city.
know some of this.
I got it right here.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do we need to move to amendment or just
Well,
write
we're
it
not
differently
voting,
for?
just
move it
Okay,
forward with
okay,
the correction.
okay. Two of the
Other questions?
commissioners may reside outside the city of San Okay, so that one's good, okay.
Other questions? Council pleasure?
Move forward with the addition or the correction.
With the modification? Okay, ordinance 1897. 1897.
Here.
Or take
So
it.
this is for the planning commissioners. So we looked at this and we changed it. It basically reflects the same thing as the one for the park board. 6 members to be appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council. 5 of the positions shall be considered full-time appointments of 6 years. 1 position for Pacific youth, 16 to 18, and shall be for 1 year. Does that need to be changed to reside within the city as well?
Shall be residents of the city, that's what we.
No, this is for the Pacific youth. 16
It
to
would
18.
match whatever you have for park board.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to match and shall be a resident of the city. And then at least 3 of the 5 full-term commission members shall be residents of the city of Pacific. 2 commission members may be a principal or be employed by a business operating in the city of Pacific.
So are we gonna run into the same problem with residents?
What do you mean?
I'm just curious, I mean, that's what the whole problem started with, really.
I went through every city that was comparable in population to the city of Pacific, and nowhere did they have to define the word resident, and it was used a lot. I looked it up in multiple dictionaries. Anybody who lives in a place, or who resides in a city, I mean,
I think the attorney advice on that is similar as well. That resident is defined on a case-by-case basis,
Right.
looking at the evidence, what's reasonable.
Do you wanna say reside in the city, or just say resident?
I think residents.
So we say reside in the city in the.
Well, the definition for resident is also your primary residence. You're a resident if that's your primary residence the majority of the time, and you have evidence to prove it, like this, you get your utility bills, you're registered to vote at that address, those types of things. You
Okay,
can
the
prove
utility
that.
bill wouldn't be proof in
No.
the city.
But voter registration would be.
Other questions for this one?
Well, and the other thing is, what's the principal person employed by a business, what is that?
A principal is an owner of the business.
It doesn't say owner, I mean, if somebody that's 51%, they,
That's a principal. If they have 5%, they're a principal owner of the business.
do you want to be that broad, I'm just asking the question. That was just pointed out to me in the email I received.
Well, that's fine,
Put
but
it out there.
we're allowing that 3 of the members have to be residents in the city regardless of whether they own anything or not. We're just trying to broaden the scope of candidates because we think we can get some people that will provide some useful information by broadening that scope and increasing the pool. The whole idea was to make it less restrictive, not more restrictive.
So do we need to define principal?
I don't think so.
I'm just asking a question. So in, let's read the majority, I'm thinking it might be too broad. Majority of five,
That's why we did that.
but the two could sway.
Well, and it's also, it's up to the mayor whether to, presumably the mayor would prefer to nominate someone who is a resident and can go outside the city if necessary, if there are no qualified applicants within the city.
That's fine, so it's
If the only applicant is someone who owns 5% of Jack in the Box, wouldn't you rather have that applicant than have the position go vacant?
What's their vested interest in the city, 5% of the business?
Their business, I mean, this is planning commission, and they plan development. And one of the main goals of planning development is determining where business districts are and zoning.
But that also doesn't tie your hands. If you get somebody who deemed not qualified because they only have 5% interest,
You can still reject it.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, qualified.
You're free not to appoint anybody if you can't find anybody that you're comfortable with.
And they can bring
We've
French fries.
had experience.
You see what happens when that happens. They're still not talking to me.
Jack in the Box will talk to you?
Oh, Park board.
I have a question, do I call in Jennifer to change the wording, do I call you, because I know Amy's out.
You can call me if you want.
Okay, for the specific year that needs to be worded like the park board one. Okay, perfect.
If you have a chance to call me more, let's go over that for you.
Okay, and, okay.
other questions from council? Comments?
Just one, business. Business, would we want to allow, for example, a full-time school employee? That's not a business, it's a large entity, but it's not a business.
What's the vested interest in the city?
It depends on
As
who
a
it is.
business,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're saying strike the or be employed? Or would you
No, I'm just,
specifically exempt?
would we want to broaden business to business or
Organization.
municipal entity?
Well, I think we should get enough people to consider all of our businesses in town and our citizens. We should be able to find 5 people.
I would think so. There's just a thought.
I mean, we might have to tranquilize them.
We can threaten to put them on council if they don't take a commission.
I think we're reading into it too much because we're worried about whether someone with 5% interest who owns a business is less qualified than someone who works for a business and doesn't own anything and lives outside the city. So, I mean, it's pretty broad-based, and it does allow a lot more discretion than previously did, and that was the whole goal, was to give more discretion, to increase the pool, and be more flexible.
Has the city attorney looked these over?
Yes, she looked them all over.
Other questions, comments, concerns? What's council's pleasure?
Move forward with the modifications.
But I'll look forward to it.